Hey guys, this is Editor Haelian. I'm here today with a really quick video. I just wanted to go over some of the patch notes that were released for this post-launch patch on Hades. It was released on December 1st for the Steam version of the game, and it just came to the Epic Game Store version as well very recently, so that's why I finally wanted to go over this. These patch notes are not on the Switch version yet. None of the balance patches that have occurred since the launch of the game have actually come to the Switch version yet. The developers have said that they really want to wait for the cross-save feature to get implemented before they're going to do those balance patches for Switch. You're not really missing on anything. Don't feel like, you have a inferior version of the game just because you're playing on the Switch. In fact, in a lot of ways, a lot of the balances that occurred are more nerfs, or at least the larger changes, I think, are actually more nerfs. And then there's some smaller buffs in the meantime too, but don't worry too much about it. It'll eventually come, and after this video is published, I will update the description below if there's anything else new to have about it, okay? Alright guys, so I got the patch notes pulled up here, and I really wanted to go over these because we talked a lot about the test branch when that was out, which was balance changes they were thinking of implementing. They were kind of just testing out a bunch of things during that time. Some of those changes got reverted, some of them got changed entirely, more things got added to that. All sorts of things happened, basically. I just want to tell you what the final product is, at least for the PC version of the game at this moment. There is no test branch currently in session, so as far as we know, this could be the last balance and patch for Hades that we're going to see, at least for a very long time, potentially. We might see some small bug fixes and things like that here and there, but this could be it, so that's why I wanted to make this quick video about it. Alright, I'm really only going to be going over the patch that came out on December 1st here. I'm not going to go over some of the previous ones that might have occurred. You're welcome to look at the patch notes yourself. They are in the game if you're running any PC version, or you can look at them on the official Supergiant Discord. They have a full list of patch notes. Every patch that's ever existed, they're all there for you to see. So let's just get started here. So Heart-Seeking Bow, Zagreus aspect, increased critical chance. So that went from 10% critical chance to 15% critical chance. That's nice. Can't complain about that, right? I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, my guess as to why this occurred is probably because Zag aspect bow probably wasn't picked a lot. It's not an exciting aspect. I actually really enjoy playing it. I have fun playing it, but at the same time I recognize it's not probably a ton of fun, and there's not usually a lot of reason to take it, I guess. So that's going to be my vote as to why this change occurred, because I never had complaints personally over this aspect. I thought it was fine and in a good place, but I guess I felt like it could use a boost. It definitely doesn't break the game. It doesn't make this aspect like super broken or anything. I think it actually takes what was a good aspect and just makes it even better. Doesn't make it perfect, doesn't make it great, but yeah, it just ups that damage quite a bit, and it's awesome, really. It's an awesome aspect now, honestly. So cool, I like it. All right, next up we have Achilles aspect for the spear. Increased skewer special charge speed, improved input buffering. So what this means is there's no extra damage or anything for Achilles. When you throw the spear special when using Achilles aspect, it just everything happens more fluidly, more quickly. You can throw the spear and jump to it more quickly. It just feels better. You get out of the animations quicker. Everything just feels more fluid, feels better. It feels a lot less clunky. That's how I used to describe it. It felt a little tiny bit of jank, I think. It was a super powerful aspect, and it still is, obviously. But it just didn't feel fluid, and now it just feels so much better. It's awesome, honestly. Now, it's really what it needed, because the damage was really nice. The damage bonus from Achilles aspect. So just seeing this is gonna make it seem so much better, I think, here. All right, next we have Adamant Rail, Ares aspect, reduced duration of bonus damage effect. So it went from an 8-second damage bonus to 4 seconds. That's pretty significant, right? I mean, it cut it in half. This is probably a bigger hit to casual players than it is to someone who speedruns the game and is constantly going to be looking to have that buff up a lot, just because, I have the speedrunners and stuff, they have a very specific rotation mindset, and usually there was a lot of overlap and keeping that buff up, and it wasn't really a problem. For someone who's just getting used to the aspect, I think it actually makes this harder to use. It definitely doesn't break Ares aspect. It doesn't really make it that much worse, really. It does make it so you need a little bit more skill in utilizing it perfectly, I think, because you got to manage the buff just a little bit more. But honestly, that aspect is still bonkers, so it doesn't really change a whole lot, I think. All right, Sea Storm. Adjusted requirements for this be offered. Fixed interaction with Cursed Drowning. So Sea Storm is a really good duo boon. It's just really broken. And what was really broken about it was just so easy to get. Splash Dash from Poseidon was already super good, and you could segue into Sea Storm, and it was just crazy, really. So what they did is they made it so Splash Dash is no longer a prerequisite to get Sea Storm. So that's bad for Sea Storm, basically. And it's kind of bad for a lot of speedrun builds, and if you're ever grabbing Splash Dash from Poseidon, you just got to know that you're probably not going to get Sea Storm, or it's way harder to get it now because you have to get a different Poseidon boon as well. Instead, you have to get the attack, the special, the cast, or the call, and so that means you kind of need a lot of things. It kind of got the Merciful End treatment if you were familiar what happened with Merciful End before. Don't want to get too far into that. I mean, Sea Storm is still a good duo boon. It doesn't make the actual duo boon worse. It just makes builds that maybe want to utilize it worse in the sense that it's just harder to get now, unfortunately. I mean, it's not a big deal. I think in the long run, this is definitely, I feel like, a bit of a hit at specific speed run combos that were used a lot, and maybe some just overall high damage combos. We're seeing a lot of Poseidon Dash with a lot of Zeus combos in the speedrunning world. It's just kind of too bad that everyone has to suffer for that, but what can we do? The interaction with Curse of Drowning is disgusting. So Curse of Drowning is a duo boon for Poseidon's cast, and it does knock back foes a little bit, but it wasn't triggering Sea Storm. So it sounds like now Curse of Drowning does actually trigger Sea Storm, and you get the extra damage from it. That's all that is. Blinding Flash from Athena, fixed incorrect scaling from palms on the exposed status curse. If I understand what was going on exactly, if you palmed Blinding Flash, it told you it increased backstab damage by 15, 20%, whatever it was, but in fact it was increasing it by like 115 or 120%. It was like actually a huge number for some reason on the inside of the game. No one really knew until like they really dug deep and looked at it, so looks like that's just fixed. Not really like a big deal, probably doesn't really change anything. Athena's Aid, reduced scaling from palms. Ouch, that's pretty harsh for Athena's Aid. I feel like Athena's Aid was already sort of on the cusp of not being super amazing most of the time. It's really just sort of a boring call, right? It's not fun, it's not exciting. The only thing that I looked forward to when I got it was to like, oh, well, I'm gonna be practically invincible a lot of the time now. Especially if you got palms on it, and I felt like it was fun to get palms on it. I don't really know exactly how much the scaling reduced it by, but Athena's Aid definitely already not in a great place, and now it's also still not in a great place. It's still an okay call. It's good for if you're still trying to learn the game and trying to just get through it, I think. But if you wanted it to carry you through a super high heat run, it's gonna be harder to do now, is the only thing. Parting Shot, fixed interaction with shadow presence from the mirror. I don't really know what that is. I'm just gonna guess that maybe it wasn't receiving the damage bonus correctly. I'm not sure, honestly. Sweet Surrender from Aphrodite, normalized scaling from rarity and palms. They just kind of leveled out the damage bonuses between palms and rarity. It's almost a nothing difference, doesn't matter. After Party, improved scaling from rarity. That's the boon where you get extra health after clearing a room back. You get to go up to a certain percentage. I think it just went from like it was like a barely an increase. I think it went from 45% at Epic to like 50%, if I remember right. It's nothing really. It's still a nothing boon, I feel. Blackout from Dionysus, adjusted requirements for this to be offered. So they finally made it so you can get the Blackout legendary from Dionysus from having his cast and his dash. So before you needed a way to inflict hangover, but the dash didn't count. So you have to have Dionysus's cast, and then you had to have a way to apply hangover. For some reason the dash didn't count, but then they finally made it so the dash counts, thank God, just because Blackout already not a great boon, never mind legendary, and then they made it so it was really hard to get. It was kind of crazy to me that that's how that worked, really, honestly. It's just tough to get going, tough to get working, I think, honestly. Rare card from Demeter finally gives you family favorites, that's all. Yeah, that was a bug we noticed a long time ago, so I think there might be a couple other boons still out there that might have this bug, honestly, where they're not applying family favorites where they should be. but we'll have to look for those. Killing Freeze from Demeter, I guess there was a damage lock on the rarity if you rolled or something like that. Not really sure on that one, honestly. I never noticed it before. Dash Nova, so they made it so the sturdy duration now lasts a second instead of like 0.3 or something like that. And they adjust how it kind of puts you in a weird place a little bit. Still not a good hammer upgrade, I think. Even if it's 1 second, I don't know. It just messes with the gameplay too much, I think, for it to be worth it. All right, Heavy Knuckle from the Fist. Increased attack speed no longer locks you in place while attacking. Yes. So a Heavy Knuckle, it actually saw a damage boost not that long ago in a balance patch. And now it got an even further balancing here. And I did try it out, and it definitely feels better. Even with this patch, it definitely does feel like it's at least an upgrade now. Before, it just felt like a side grade. It just kind of changed the build, didn't make it more powerful. At least now, I can definitely say it's an upgrade. Whether or not I still like it versus some other hammers, I'm not so sure. I'll have to play with it a bit more to really get a feel for it, but at least now it's not wrong to take, I feel like. I can definitely say it's not wrong to take now. Draining Cutter for the Fist. Life Drain now works on the effects of lasting consequences. That just makes sense. That should have been working the whole time because other hammers like Curse Slash always worked. So it only makes sense that Draining Cutter worked. And just so you know, Draining Cutter gives you 2% health back when you kill an enemy with the special move for the Fist. So now, finally, you get that even if you're using the lasting consequences Pact of Punishment. Companion Rib for Skelly. Increased health for summoned companion takes less damage from you. I think Skelly really needed this, right? I really have struggled to find a good runs or times to use Skelly. So I think the best instance you can come up with is if you enter an Erebus gate and you're just trying not to get hit, summon Skelly in a corner, get other enemies to summon to target him while you kill them off. That's great. Versus bosses, though, I mean, I don't know. Skelly just doesn't have a lot of uses outside of that one instance that I can think of, you know. He's not horrible, but it just feels like I'd always rather have someone else. So I'll have to play with this some more. I did play with it a little bit, but I'd like to experiment some more to really give my true opinion on it. All right, Myrmidon Bracer from Achilles now also works versus trap damage. Great, okay, awesome. Skull Earring from Megara, increased active threshold. So it went from 30%, you need to be at or below 30% health before. I think now it's just 35% instead. It's still just not great. It's not like a great, so it's a DPS keepsake, right? So how do you reliably get this buff? It's more like sometimes I'll get it, and hooray when I do. It just doesn't feel worth it most of the time. Although it may be more competitive now because of a change you'll see right here, but I don't know how I feel about that one still. But first, let's go over Shadow Jackal from Sisyphus, increased power level. So it went from giving you 80% damage bonus on your attack, special, or cast, as long as you don't have a boon, to 100%. That's cool. That's nice. I think that kind of opens things up a little bit more too. It might make some builds that we never thought we'd see, or might make some different strategies come out when it comes to playing the game, speedrunning the game. Who knows? We'll have to see, because I think that kind of opens up a lot of things. I mean, I thought Shadow Jackal was actually already kind of okay, but then I kind of realized I say it's okay, but I never use it, so it can't be that okay, right? So hopefully now we're in a place where we get to see some strats open up with it a little bit more. To me, it always kind of felt like if I was going to use the Shackle, it was more like I'm going to use the Shackle for the whole run, and it's a bit more of a very specialized or different kind of run or build, basically. But maybe now we're in a place where, you know, you just throw it on for Tartarus when you're not certain you're going to have a boon you want, and then you replace it later on. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. 100%'s a lot of damage. All right, so this, I mean, I guess a spoiler alert here. This is for Hades' keepsake, Sigil the Dead. Reduced max number of stocks, updated text description to be more accurate. This is the biggest change here, actually, at least for me as a speedrunner and for the speedrun community in whole, I'd say. This is the biggest change out of this for us. I think for most casual players, this isn't that big of a deal. And even for speedrunning, it might not change as much as we're thinking, but it's hard to say yet. So Hades Keepsake used to give you, it went up to 4 stocks. And since it's pre-charged at max level at 30%, that means you always enter the room with 1 stock already there. That means if you had the Billowing Strength boon that gave you extra damage bonus after using the call, it's insane, really. It was insane, because you just activate Billowing Strength immediately as soon as you enter a roam, and you just clear it out super quick. Things like that. So now it only has 2 stocks, which means that you need to be at 50% to use it for the first time. And so it's kind of iffy now. It's still not bad, I think. I think we might see a change of pace where I think we're still going to see it used a lot. I'm going to guess. This is all kind of speculation right now. We might see speedrunners sometimes actually save it up to max now, potentially, and use it at max gauge, but I'm not really sure yet. Sigil of the Dead is a very wonky keepsake, I think. It does a lot of things strangely. It does give you, in case you don't know, you get 100% damage bonus when you use it, but it's only on the next hit. If you save it up to max gauge, you get 100% damage bonus for 5 seconds, basically. So it's hard to know what's going to happen. You know, we'll have to watch some of the other guys and see what they do, and there's definitely going to be a lot of experimentation here. My guess is we're still going to see it in the speedrunning community, and we're going to have to see to what end, though, exactly. Mirror of the Night, Abyssal Blood, increased power level. I think this needed it. So this went from a 25% to a 30% damage reduction and speed reduction on enemies. So you take 30% less damage, and enemies move 30% slower. Sometimes I wonder if they just upped this baby to 50%. I don't know. Would it be broken? Maybe. It might be. I'm just curious. Like maybe they've done this kind of testing on internally, and they decided it was broken. But yeah, I mean, I hardly ever use it versus Boiling Blood. It's usually only like high heat circumstances that I throw it on. There's definitely other circumstances, and I don't think it's ever really wrong to take. It's very reliable, I guess you could say. But you know, like the guy in me that just wants to deal a lot of damage and get big numbers, I usually just prefer taking Boiling Blood. But I think it definitely has a lot more uses now. And it just feels better just to know that they are looking at something like this and just saying, you know what, this isn't used often enough. Let's up it even just a tiny bit. You know, at least they're giving attention to even like the small details still, I think. I think that's actually really cool. All right, so next we have a lot of small changes here, and I'm just gonna quickly, very, very quickly just jump over a couple of them, basically. So let's see, Aspect of Eris now has a unique visual, which is really cool. Some sound effects, some emotes, some things like that. Like plot things they changed around. The kind of thing if you've already gone through the entire game, it doesn't really matter that much, honestly. It's more for new players coming in. Text clarification, some bug fixes here, and things like that. And oh, that sounds familiar. All right, and after that, like just some other weird things like Doom with Gilgamesh. I guess there was a weird interaction. Same thing with Palms on Floodshot, and I don't think there's really anything else here that's really super noteworthy after that. Hey guys, this is Editor Haelian, and after recording this video about the patch notes, a consensus was actually reached by the speedrun.com moderators for Hades here, and the consensus is that they just moved all the runs for version 1.0 and just put them into their own category where you can still find them here now. For each separate category, you just gotta click on version 1.0, which means that by default, when you visit the page, there's actually no runs on there right now as of recording this. So we need to get some more runs on there. We got to keep this baby cranking and keep going. But I'm really happy with this decision, and it definitely is in line with the view that I had for what we should do, because the game is quite significantly different with some of these balance changes. So yeah, happy about this decision and looking forward to getting some more runs on the board. All right, guys. I mean, that's it for these patch notes. I'm glad I was able to go over them, and hopefully I can kind of go into detail what some of these changes are, because they didn't really provide us numbers in those patch notes, and at first glance you might not know exactly what changed. You just know something is different. So hopefully this helped you out a little bit. Whether or not we see future balance patches or just DLC or content from Hades, we still don't know. The devs are keeping very quiet about it, but maybe if we make enough ruckus, we can get them to do it. All right, guys, that's it. I'll see you later. Bye-bye now. You know I believe it, Mark. Oh, hey, didn't see you there. You know, while you're still here, maybe you should go on over and check out what's going on the stream. www.dampdad.com. Come on over and say hi to us.